What would you do if fear was standing right in front of you? What if your future looked impossible? What if everyone around you said, give up? The truth is, every person faces fear. Fear tells you to quit. Fear tells you to stay where you are. Fear tells you that God won't come through. But faith tells a different story. Faith says God is bigger than your problem. Faith says God is still in control. Faith says your situation may be difficult, but it is not impossible for God. Today, we're going to look at 7 powerful stories from the Bible, where faith defeated fear in one moment. These ordinary people faced impossible situations, yet they chose to trust God instead of their fears. Let's begin. 1. David faced Goliath. Imagine standing in front of a giant warrior. Goliath was bigger, stronger, and more experienced than David. The entire Israelite army was terrified. Day after day, they listened to Goliath's threats and did nothing. Then David arrived. He was only a shepherd boy. He had no armor, no military training, no powerful weapons. But David had something greater than all of those things. He had faith in God. While everyone else saw a giant, David saw an opportunity for God to show his power. In one moment, David chose faith over fear. He stepped forward, slung a stone, and defeated Goliath. Fear said, run. Faith said, God is with me. 2. Moses stood before the Red Sea. Moses and the Israelites had escaped Egypt, but suddenly they were trapped. The Red Sea was in front of them. Pharaoh's army was behind them. The people panicked. They thought they were going to die. Fear spread through the crowd, but Moses trusted God. Instead of surrendering to fear, he obeyed God's instruction. He stretched out his staff over the sea. In that moment, faith defeated fear. God parted the waters and made a way where there seemed to be no way. Sometimes your breakthrough comes when you trust God, even before you see the solution. 3. Daniel entered the lion's den. Daniel knew the king's law. He knew praying to God could get him thrown into a den of hungry lions. But Daniel refused to let fear control him. He continued praying just as he always had. His enemies reported him. The king was forced to punish him. Daniel was thrown into the lion's den. Fear could have stopped him, but faith kept him standing. God shut the mouths of the lions. Daniel walked out unharmed because faith was stronger than fear. 4. Esther approached the king-queen. Esther faced an impossible decision. Her people were in danger. The only way to save them was to approach the king without being invited. Anyone who did that could be sentenced to death. Fear told Esther to stay silent. Fear told her to protect herself. But faith gave her courage. She chose to step forward and trust God. In one moment, Esther walked into the king's presence. The king welcomed her. Because she acted in faith, an entire nation was saved. Sometimes one courageous step can change everything. 5. Peter stepped out of the boat. One stormy night, the disciples saw Jesus walking on water. They were terrified. Peter wanted to come to Jesus. Jesus simply said, "Come." That moment changed everything. Peter had 2 choices: stay in the boat where fear felt safe, or step out in faith. Peter stepped onto the water. For a moment, he did the impossible. As long as he focused on Jesus, faith was winning. The lesson is simple. Fear focuses on the storm. Faith focuses on Jesus. 6. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego faced the fire. King Nebuchadnezzar ordered everyone to worship a golden statue. 3 young men refused. They knew the punishment, a fiery furnace. The king gave them one last chance. Bow down or burn. Fear would have said, compromise. Fear would have said, protect yourself. But faith stood firm. They trusted God no matter what happened. They were thrown into the furnace, but God joined them in the fire. They came out without a single burn. Faith defeated fear because they trusted God more than their circumstances. 7. Mary said yes to God's plan. When the angel appeared to Mary, her life changed forever. She was young, she was ordinary. She had no idea how God's plan would unfold. The future was uncertain. People might misunderstand her. She could have allowed fear to take control. Instead, Mary chose faith. She trusted God's promise. She said yes to his plan. That one decision changed history forever. Faith often begins with a simple yes to God. Final thoughts. Every one of these people had something in common. They felt fear. They faced uncertainty. They stood before situations that looked impossible, but they refused to let fear make their decisions. Instead, they chose faith. Remember, courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is trusting God even when fear is present. The same God who helped David, Moses, Daniel, Esther, Peter, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, and Mary is still working today. Whatever challenge you're facing right now, God is bigger. Whatever fear is holding you back, God is stronger. Faith can still defeat fear. Fear asks, what if things go wrong? Faith asks, what if God shows up? The next time fear tries to stop you, remember these stories. Trust God, take the next step, believe His promises, and watch what He can do. If this message encouraged you, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement. Subscribe to Kingdom Mindset for more biblical wisdom, Christian motivation, faith-building lessons, and spiritual growth content. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 7 stories inspired you the most? And what fear are you trusting God to help you overcome today? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's meet in the comment section and grow together in faith, wisdom, and purpose. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next video.